washers, no washer worries.
Henry, Michelle, and young Matthew Coleman have joined us, and well, Michelle was responsible for delivering Matthew, and you were there to catch him, as I understand. That's a much more natural way to do it than talking about the doctor delivering. What about the preparation? We've talked a little bit about some of the things that you talked to Dr. Estes about, but I'm wondering about preparing your home for a home birth and preparing psychologically for how, what you would do if something went wrong in the process of birth.
Well, as far as my mind was psyched up to be, there was absolutely nothing that was going to go wrong. And if something went wrong, then it was all right for me to go to the hospital, too.
At what point in your pregnancy did you and Henry decide that you would like to have the baby at home?
Well, I decided about 8 years ago that if I ever had a baby, that that's how I would have it. My sister had a home birth about 7 years ago, and I was present at it, and it was the most incredible experience I ever saw in my life. And I said, boy, that's the way to have it.
So you were already committed to it in advance.
Yeah.
What about preparing your home? You know, some of the practical things that are necessary. You don't want to make your home like a hospital delivery room, obviously, but to make it comfortable for you and the baby and everyone else who is involved.
Well, Milton hands out a list of the things that you need. You need you have to sterilize 2 sets of sheets, and you need a plastic thing, and like nose siphons, and things like that you can just buy at the store. And the house was clean. I was cleaning up. In fact, the day I went into labor, I watered my plants and cleaned the house. And
isn't there something about a last burst of energy right before delivery anyway? That nesting instinct takes over. Yeah. What about things that you require in the home, just in terms of your own, like communications, for example, with the outside world?
Well, we ask people to have a telephone. That's an absolute must. We have them prepare in a kind of a ritual, have them bake their sheets that they're going to use for their bed, and we use 2 sets of sheets with a plastic sheet in between, so that after the baby is born, we can immediately just take off the top sheets and have some clean under
so that
sheets.
the mother and the child will be comfortable.
Right, and sterile warm receiving blankets that we have warm in the oven for the baby to keep the baby warm after the birth. And we have them all have a kind of a portable electric heater in case we need to heat the baby up. If the baby has a problem, it's very important to keep the baby warm.
Has he seen himself yet over there? What about things like the lighting in the room? I think that's one of the things that in past years, especially since Dr. LeBoyer's theories on very low lighting and warm water for the infant.
Well,
you don't like it so much here, do you?
Well, Matthew.
You don't think this is much fun? This will probably be even worse, but you could look at your mommy this way. Oh. Should we pass him down the line? Poor babe. We're talking all about you coming into this world.
He doesn't like
There you go. Oh.
Bye, Matthew.
Bye-bye to Matthew. Matthew gets to sit in the back and watch his parents now on television. What about some of the sort of the feeling in your room? Did you deliver the child in your bedroom? Was that, I assume?
No, we had it set up in the living room. The bedroom would have been a little bit too dark, so we just set up a bed in the living room. And
but there's nothing special is needed other than just the standard things.
No,
like,
we had we fixed the room up nice, and it looked good, and it felt real good, and that's that was what was important to me.
Henry, you've sort of been left out of this, which is the traditional thing to happen to fathers, and this is what home birth is supposed to be all about, is bringing the father back into it. How did you feel about, was it obviously a mutual decision that the child would be born at home?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's an experience that every father should have. For one, you get to know you get the right baby back.
There's no question.
There's no doubt that Matthew is mine. And it's just something that it just brings you a lot closer to your son or daughter, I think. Not many men get to have that experience, and I just thought it was terrific.
So you were involved from the very beginning in terms of going to the classes and being involved. Let's talk a little bit about the classes and how they prepare you for the birth. What were some of the things that you felt you gained from that?
Well, I got a lot of information, like but you can use all that information, but like at the time when you're in labor, it's like almost everything kind of blacks out, and you just almost do naturally, you know. I mean, like I wasn't concentrating on my breathing correctly and, you know, and all that kind of stuff. It just, you know, you just kind of let it happen. But the information was good because I wanted to know, you know, well, what's going to happen and how am I going to dilate, and, you know, all those things I was interested in knowing. But, you know, I think it was fine for, like, when I was pregnant, you know, like sort of preparing me for when I went into labor. Well, when I went into labor, it was just, you know, it was
your body kind of took over.
Yeah, another
How did you
area.
feel at that point? Left out? Or do you think
No,
that
I was-
because you were at home that you were able to still stay involved with that?
Oh, yeah, I was right there. In fact, I was holding one of Michelle's legs up instead of having something to prop her with. And as the baby was crowning, I was right there coaching Michelle and assisting Milton
he
on
was great.
bringing the baby out. And the mystery of childbirth now it's not a mystery anymore. I mean, it's fabulous.
There's supposed to be, in addition to some of the psychological advantages, some great advantages that have been studied over the years in terms of the child's emotional and also their IQs are supposed to be higher, all kinds of intellectual development. Do you put any stake in that?
I think those kinds of studies are interesting, but I really can't say I give them that much credence. I think that the importance of home birth is the experiential nature of it and the kind of closeness that the family gets and the sense of being in their own environment with, this is an expression of themselves, of their lives, and that's what's important to me. It's kind of prima facie evidence, whether or not studies will show babies to have things like higher IQs. I don't know.
That's not the
all
rationale
kind of,
behind it
no,
at
I
all.
don't think so.
One last question for you. Had you not known that you would have a qualified physician and a nurse midwife in attendance, would you have gone ahead and had the baby at home?
Oh, that's real hard to say. I know that I really wanted a home birth very badly, and I'm just grateful that I found somebody like Milton. That's hard to say, but I think, he's.
Unfortunately, a lot of people do make that decision, and that's when the problems occur. We'll let you go to take care of Matthew now. Thank you both very
Thank
much
you.
for coming in. He's very happy now. Wish they could turn around and get a picture of that smiling face. We'll be back with Dr. Libby Coleman. She's a psychologist who has done a great number of studies on the psychology of pregnancy, both mothers and fathers, and how they are affected. And we'll take some of your questions, too, when we come back.
Matthew, get up on the grass, please. Now he's got shit on his shoes.
Does he?
Hello, my name is Donald Laurie. I'm here at the Coleman household to talk to Michelle and Henry Coleman about their second childbirth. Now, Michelle and Henry in Mill Valley, California, this is their second childbirth. The first one was to Matthew Coleman. Now, I want to find out from Henry and Michelle, seeing how they made a tremendous tradition from Mill Valley to Sonoma and went through another natural childbirth. Now, Michelle,
Yes.
could you tell me, please, what was it about this childbirth that was different than the other?
Oh, well, I think all births are different, and let's see, what was different about this one? It was shorter.
Mm-hmm.
It was only 3 hours instead of 6, and it was very fast, and I got into it right away, and that's what was different. Also, the baby's head was turned up as opposed to turned down, so it was a lot of hard work.
Okay. Now, Henry, could you tell me what were some of your feelings about this? I know you went through it once with Matthew, who turned out to be one of the most beautiful kids I've ever seen. And just tell me how you felt about the whole thing.
Well, of course, the first, when Matthew was born, he was born at home in our living room in Mill Valley. And when Eve was born, Oh, I was asleep in bed at 11 o'clock in the evening when Michelle came in to tell me that her water had broken. So I got on the phone to the doctor and explained the situation, and instead of having Eve at home, we had the baby in Mill Valley in the doctor's office. So it took 45 minutes from here to Mill Valley, but it wasn't that much of an emergency. We had a couple of hours anyhow in order to get there to set ourselves up. The doctor's office was set up primarily how we would like to have had it in our own living room, in that it was low lights, a nice bed, the doctor, the midwife, myself, and Michelle. It took about 3 hours or 4 hours from the time we left here till when Eve was born, and it was a little tough in the beginning because of the position of the baby, and
Right there.
in no time at all we had a new addition to the family.
Okay. Now, I take it from looking at Matthew that he's very healthy, and is Eve also as healthy?
Oh, yes.
Matthew was 9 pounds 6 ounces at birth, and Eve was 9 pounds 3 ounces. So what Michelle does is produce
beautiful
very
kids.
healthy children. Yes.
All right, that's nice to hear. I would like to introduce Christian, the brother of Henry and the brother-in-law of Michelle, and the uncle of Matthew and Eve. All right, Christian, what do you think about this whole thing? Seeing how you've known Michelle and Henry, especially Henry because he's your brother, and Matthew. And could you just give me some feedback on what are some of your thoughts about this?
Yes, I'll be happy to. I'm very happy for both of them and their children. Matthew and Eve were two very healthy, satisfying births, and there seemed to be a lot of complications either beforehand, during the birth, or afterwards. It was a very natural. Both babies were about anywhere from 2 weeks to 5 days. 5 days late. And I was just pleased that everything turned out so well, and it was so natural. I've worked in hospitals, and I think that the less people that are involved with something as wonderful as this, the better the result.
Okay, thank you. Now, Michelle, do you? I'm very curious because your children are so healthy looking. How do you feed Eve?
Well, I breastfeed.
You breastfeed.
Yes.
And is there a certain reason why you breastfeed than doing what most mothers would do?
Well, first of all, it's very convenient. I don't have to sterilize any bottles or heat anything up and go through any, ordeal. I just stick a boob in her mouth and away we go.
All right. Now,
And also, it's very healthy. It's healthy for the baby and for me.
in which way is it healthy for the baby, and in which way is it healthy for you?
Well, the
Because, excuse me,
That's all right.
because I think that our viewers would be really interested in finding out some of these things.
Well, it's healthy for the baby because the baby gets all natural immunities from mother's milk.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like if I got sick and I got a cold, she would automatically get those antibodies without having to take any,
Aspirins,
medicines or
etc.
anything like that. Yes, and for me, it's healthy because it pulls all my insides back into position as they've been moved around, and stretched out.
Was it the same doctor who brought Matthew into the world
Yes, Dr.
that brought? Pardon me. What was his name again?
Milton Estes.
Okay, so I take it if you ever decided to have another kid, that would be the fellow that you would use.
Yes,
So,
definitely.
what is it?
If we're in the area.
Or if you're in
we
the
don't
area,
move.
do you expect to move anywhere soon?
Not that I know of.
What is it that brought you from Mill Valley to Sonoma?
We bought a house.
You brought a house.
We bought a house that we could not afford in Murray County, and we moved up here.
Do you think this is a more healthy environment which to bring in two healthy, beautiful kids in?
Well, I think the environment is in the home itself. So, yes and no.
Okay. Well, I'm quite sure Henry will be right back.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't she look peaceful? Okay, here comes Henry now. Go give the baby a kiss. Not that baby, the baby baby. Baby baby. Wave. Say hi. No, we're not screwing it up. Anyway, you're looking at my grass. This is my grass. My lawn furniture, my trees. This is the street I live on.
Can you get a shot of the whole front of the house, Frank?
If you would have seen what this place looked like before we fixed it up, it's my pride and joy now. All these plants I have taken since they were little bitties. Don't they look good, Donald, by the way?
They look beautiful.
No, look at the palm. It's got another shoot coming out of it. So anyway, I'm very happy. Ha 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 ha. And we're going to sing a song. We're going to sing a song, Dad?
Sing a song, take a haggard, give up, take a figure, sing a ragga ragga heck, take a haggard, take a ragga, take a ragga digga.
No, sing a good song. Sing Happy Trails or something. Whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong.
You want to take them, turn it on the water?
Henry's lawn is absolutely his pride and joy. Forget about his...
Okay, let's wind it up now. Here comes the sprinkler.
Yeah. Okay. Is that it?
That's a better engine anyway.
Let's see how it came.
Henry, Christian, even Matthew, if he'd like to come over and get into the picture.
You want to say something on the microphone?
Matthew? Well, I guess he's kind of camera shy right now. Is there anything or any advice that you would give to mothers or fathers who are expecting children today?
Well, my advice would be to do whatever is they feel comfortable with, whether it be in a hospital or whatever. The first, the primary, the most, well, the best thing you want is for the child. So if you're not comfortable with having a childbirth, then by all means go to a hospital. The primary concern is for the child.
And Michelle?
I would say the same. I don't think home births are for everybody, simply because a lot of people don't have the, they don't believe enough in themselves and in, in
The
their
natural order of things.
Yeah, to do that. They've given up their own power to the doctors and so forth. So, and by all means, they should go to the hospital and have the doctor deliver their baby.
Well, this might be somewhat of an off-the-wall question, but if you decide to have another child, would you allow our cameras to come in and to shoot? to hold because I'm so fascinated by it, and I would love to have my cameras right there. And if just think about it. I don't expect you to be pregnant in the next 6 months, but if you are, please allow us to come in, and we would really would like to.
That'd be fine. Knowing you and Frank both, and as close as you are to us, that'd be no problem at all.
Okay, well, my name is Donald Lowry, and this is Michelle,
Hello.
Henry, Christian, and Eve. We have just put to sleep, and we are now signing off. Same time next week. Goodbye.